am not sure that this is going to be a flip or a flop. We'll see. I'm listing up my find that I got in Pennsylvania. And these cuties from Ohio. I picked these up a bit ago in Michigan. I'm going to be adding in the butterflies and the flowers into my linens and Afghan show. These are just beautiful napkin rings. Aren't they cute? I'm listing up more Christmas items so I can run my Christmas in July live sale. I am also listing up all of my Depression era dishes. These are all from the 1930s. Just think, in less than 5 years, they'll be antiques, over 100 years old. This Jeanette Depression era bowl is my favorite. It's called Cherry Blossom. Do you guys remember me telling you about finding all that pink depression glass at the garage sale? Well, this is the rest of the pieces. That creamer and sugar and this stack of plates. I am cross-posting these L.E. Smith canisters to Niknax. That is an unusual piece. It looks like an iron, but it's like a gravy boat or something. It says Ponset. This is me finding this mystery item and putting it in the cart anyways. I had no idea what it was. Now, this item, I picked it up because it's just such a novelty. It is a giant, at first I thought it was an iron or something, like meant to be like a planter, and maybe that's what it is. But then I was like, well, maybe it's a gravy boat? I mean, it's just huge. $2.99 for that. And it says Ponset, P-O-N-S-E-T on the bottom there. Of course, it's clear, very hard to read. But that was just an unusual item, and I thought I was going to put it back, but I ended up leaving that in the cart. In my previous video, I was calling this item all kinds of names. I was like, oh, it looks like an iron, but it's glass. It says Ponset on the inside there. I was like, that is the biggest gravy boat I've ever seen. I just like the look of it. I have since found out what this is, and you would not believe what this goes to. It turns out that this is a glass scoop that goes inside of an antique Huser cabinet. I'm going to drop in some photos that I found so you can see what I'm talking about. So this isn't just vintage, this is antique. I found all of these pictures on Pinterest. It shows the large scoop or chutes and the small ones. They're all glass. Do you see how they fit in there? You would have stored your beans and rice or flour and sugar in those. I ran a depression glass live sale on Niknax.net. I wasn't sure if they would sell in an auction style. I wanted everyone to see them though, so that if they are interested, they can buy them out of the Buy It Now. I put the bigger sets of depression glass into the Buy It Now, and then I reran my show with glass and pottery and some of my minis. I ran a late night sale and I sold 4 items. I sold these 2 ornaments. I sold the koala paperweight and the Indiana glass sugar bowl. And then I couldn't sleep. I was up to about 2:30 in the morning. that happens when I do those late night sales. And I did remember that I had iced coffee in the afternoon. That might have contributed to my inability to sleep. But however, what's weird about that is I woke up at 6:45 in the morning. I'm like, I guess I'm up. I got up, made myself a pot of coffee, and I was thinking about it. I'm like, maybe I should do a morning live sale. I look on Niknax, there was only one person on, and then the next person wasn't going to be on for almost 2 hours or so. And I was like, wow, that's a big gap. I was like, let me put together a live sale and do a morning live sale. And I sold the rest of these items here in the light box. These are hand-blown glass ornaments, and I sold them for $5 each. The koala paperweight is a full lead paperweight, matte, Joe Nason from Sweden. Just love that it's a koala. Sold that for $18. The Indiana glass open, it's an open sugar bowl now. The lids on these are always gone. And there is a matching creamer, but I only had this piece. I sold that for $8. I sold both of the planters to the same person. Takahashi little mini planter there. Sold that for $8. And I sold this one for $8. This is a handmade studio art signed pottery jar. Sold that for $10. The L.A. Smith canisters, oh my goodness, I've had those for a long time, and I only just now got around to listing them up. I kept thinking, I gotta get those on Niknax, gotta get those on Niknax. I listed them up, took a couple shows, but they are now officially going out the door. I sold the pair of them for $38. The wooden chicken sold for $7. And this is for those tall matchsticks that you would have by your fireplace. It hangs on the wall, but it also sits very nicely. Sold that for $12. All in on both shows, I sold a total of 10 items. My total cost of goods on the items was $25.15, and I sold them for $119. I sold a set of 6 vintage forks on eBay. I have to look in my bins here to find them, and once I do, I'll show them to you. Inside one of those shoe boxes was this bag. This is how I used to keep my flatware. I just popped this into that shoebox, and then I'm starting to fill the second shoebox, and I just put that one right on top, as you saw in the cupboard there. And when I go to look for items like these 6 forks that I sold, they're all in individual baggies with the name of the pattern and the maker. So these are Delco forks, and the pattern name is Melinda. Makes it super easy. You can see the posting notes in there. Now, a while ago, you would have seen me with 20 pounds of flatware that I had bought all at once when I was down in Nebraska. And I did a video of starting to list that. Well, of the 5 bags, I only listed up 1 bag, or about, let's say 20% of what I had. I still have the other 80%. I never listed it. Plus, I have stashes of flatware here and there in my emporium. I guess technically I'm hoarding it, but I really shouldn't, because it is a bread and butter item for sure. Now, before I listed up all of that flatware that I did get listed up, which included these forks here, I had sold another set of more expensive flatware. And those, when I sold them, paid for those and all 20 pounds of the remaining flatware that I had, plus profit. So I have no cost into any of this. So I gotta put a little fire under me and get listing on the flatware. I was just so busy with all of these live sales that I'm doing that I'm like, oh, I'll do that later, do it later. I got to fit it in somehow, maybe just one set a day or something like that. Anyways, I have no cost into these 6 forks, and I sold them on eBay for $17.59. I am not sure what I am doing with all of this yarn. I am going to try to run a live sale on Niknax.net. I'm doing as a choice sale where they get to pick 2 skeins. I have all my doubles up here. 2 skeins for a set price. Of course, it's an auction, so it can get bid up, but they get to pick whichever they want if they win. And then I have single skeins, I have multiples, I have other things I'm going to run, but I am not sure that this is going to be a flip or a flop. We'll see. You know, when you're trying something new and you're like scared, you got the butterflies in your stomach. That was me. I ran my first choice sale. Everyone else makes it seem like it's so easy to do, but I was like, oh my goodness, how am I going to know? Because you only take one picture and then you're running the sale multiple times. And you're like, well, when you go to ship it, normally if they're buying individual items like the creamer and sugar or the angels back there, it's easy because that's the picture and you know, oh, I got to wrap that up. But if it's one picture multiple times and you're like, well, did they get the purple ones? Did they get the maroon ones? Which skeins did they pick? I was like, how am I going to do this? I came up with a plan and I decided that as they sold, if it was auction number 1, I was going to write on these little stickers here and stick it on it and be like, okay, number 1 was this, number 2 was that, number 3 was those. That was my plan. And so I felt more confident about being able to do it and being able to send out the right items to the right person. Now, what I didn't think through when I was like, oh, I'm going to do a yarn sale, was that it's a heat wave. It's in the middle of the summer. People aren't necessarily doing their knitting and crocheting in the heat. Now, most people are inside with the air conditioning. So I ran my sale. I was not thinking at all about the heat or the time of year or anything like that. Everyone else is doing like Christmas in July. Of course, I do all my vintage, variety shows and things. I only sold 2 skeins of yarn. And I was like, oh, okay. I kept running all the different items that I had available. And I kept the show short. And I was like, hey, I'm learning. I'm thinking it through. And that was more like better for me. It was a good experience. I didn't sell out of my yarn. I wasn't even expecting to sell out of my yarn. And I will be running this again with the yarn when it's a little cooler out. Maybe in September, as the weather starts to change a little bit. And I think I will be more successful with selling my yarn. And then I also remembered I had more yarn to list up. So I'm like, oh, yeah, I forgot about that yarn. Let me get that into the sale for later. So I did sell 2 skeins. Let me get those. So I didn't know if this was going to be a flip or a flop. I consider it a flip because I sold the 2 skeins of yarn. Even if you only sell 1 item and you got a huge learning experience out of the way, that is a win in my book. These are the skeins that the person picked. So they had a choice of all of the skeins of yarn here that you're looking at. See how they're all doubles, like all the same. I was like, which one do you want? You won the auction. And she's like, I want these. How pretty are these? I love bright colors. So this is what I did because it was the first time I was running it. I was like, it's number 0. And then when you duplicate it, it automatically in the app changes it to number 1. And then when you duplicate again, it goes to number 2. You kind of see how it would work. And even though it's just one picture and I wouldn't know which ones were picked, I was putting the little stickers onto the yarn. That was my plan. So now I have a plan for next time, and I'm going to add some more yarn, and if I find any more between July and September, or the next time I run the show, whenever I run it, I'll just keep adding to it. I think it's going to be a nice change up to all of the vintage variety that I run. I love selling everything. I do try to pick up my yarn in random, it's like bags of yarn, like I do the ornaments and things like that. It's either a mystery, it's like a mystery bag of yarn, a mystery bag of ornaments. I love picking those up and taking chances on them. And so I picked these up along with a lot of these other skeins that you see here in a large grab bag. So my cost of goods on these were 87 cents because I had so many different lots of them, and I didn't spend a lot on the bag itself. As you can see, these skeins originally sold for $10 a skein, and she is getting both of these for $10. Thank you all for watching and joining me on my reselling journey. Please subscribe to my channel. Put any comments down below. And now I got to get these shipped out. Let me just put that there. And all I got to do is throw them into a poly mailer and print out the label. So easy.